Ever heard of Operation Tiger? It's one of World War II's most tragic and hushed-up stories, a disaster that unfolded just weeks before D-Day. And guess who saw it coming? The one and only General George S. Patton. Today, we're diving into how Patton's sharp instincts nearly prevented a catastrophe, and why his warnings fell on deaf ears. So what was Operation Tiger? It was a massive dress rehearsal for the Utah beach landing, held in late April 1944 at a place called Slapton Sands in England. This wasn't just any practice run. It was designed to be as realistic as possible, using live ammunition and thousands of troops. The goal was to prepare the U.S. 4th Infantry Division for the hell they were about to face on the shores of Normandy. The Supreme Allied Command, including General Eisenhower, believed these intense, full-scale exercises were absolutely essential to minimize casualties on the actual D-Day. Everything had to be perfect, from the naval bombardment to the timing of the troop landings. But this is where our story takes a turn, and where Patton enters the picture. Before Operation Tiger even began, Patton, who was famously meticulous and had an almost sixth sense for battlefield dynamics, voiced serious concerns. He was commanding the fictional 1st U.S. Army Group at the time, a phantom army created to deceive the Germans. But his mind was always on the real fight. He reviewed the plans for the exercise and immediately spotted a glaring weakness. The English Channel was crawling with German I-boats, these fast, torpedo-armed patrol boats that were a constant menace to Allied shipping. Patton argued that conducting a large-scale rehearsal so close to enemy-patrolled waters without adequate naval protection was asking for trouble. He pointed out that the Royal Navy destroyers assigned to protect the convoy of landing ships were insufficient. One of the key escort vessels, the HMS Scimitar, was scheduled to be in port for repairs during the exercise, leaving a significant gap in the defensive screen. Patton warned his superiors that the German E-boats could easily slip through and wreak havoc on the slow-moving, heavily loaded landing ships. He basically said, "You're setting up a shooting gallery for the enemy." But his warnings were largely dismissed. The Allied High Command was juggling immense logistical challenges for the upcoming invasion. Perhaps Patton's concerns seemed overly cautious, or maybe his reputation for being aggressive and sometimes difficult made them less inclined to listen. And then, in the early morning hours of April 28, 1944, Patton's worst fears came true. A flotilla of 9 German E-boats, out on a routine patrol from Cherbourg, stumbled upon the poorly protected convoy of American landing ships. The result was pure carnage. The E-boats launched a surprise torpedo attack. 2 landing ship tanks, or LSTs, were sunk, and another was severely damaged. These ships were packed with soldiers, vehicles, and supplies. Men were thrown into the freezing, oil-slicked water. Many drowned because they put their life vests on incorrectly, causing them to flip upside down, or because the intense cold induced hypothermia within minutes. The chaos and confusion were immense. Friendly fire incidents occurred as panicked crews on different ships fired wildly into the darkness. In the end, the official death toll was 749 American soldiers and sailors, though some historians believe the number could be closer to 1,000. It was a staggering loss of life, even greater than the casualties suffered on Utah Beach itself during the actual D-Day landing. The disaster was so devastating and so close to the invasion that it was immediately classified at the highest level. Survivors were sworn to secrecy under threat of court-martial. The Allies couldn't afford for the Germans to learn how successful their E-boat attack had been, nor could they risk the catastrophic blow to morale if the news got out. The cover-up was so effective that the story of Operation Tiger remained largely unknown to the public for decades. It wasn't until the 1980s that the details began to emerge. What this tragic event shows us is the incredible foresight of a commander like Patton. He wasn't just a fiery battlefield general. He was a master strategist who understood risk on a granular level. His prediction wasn't based on a lucky guess, but on a cold, hard assessment of the tactical situation. It's a somber reminder that in the fog of war, even the most brilliant warnings can go unheard, with devastating consequences. The men who died at Slapton Sands were some of the first casualties of the Normandy campaign. Heroes whose sacrifice was silenced by secrecy, but should never be forgotten. Thanks for watching this episode of War Echoes Explained. If you found this story compelling, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the hidden histories of war. See you next time.